Welcome to Techstination. Joining us is Adam Lisberg, Corporate Communications Director at DJI. Thank you for joining us, Adam.
Hey, glad to be here. Always a pleasure.
Well, DJI made an announcement today talking about how it's going to make drones safer to use, avoiding aircraft. Tell us what you're doing.
Sure. Well, as you know, the number of drones in the airspace has dramatically risen. It's raised a lot of questions and fears in some places about whether that's safe for traditional aviation. And DJI has always been a leader in coming up with technology and educational systems to help deal with the potential risks that are out there from, developing geofencing. It's probably the one that your listeners know most intimately, a system that's designed to ensure the drone pilots know where the limits are and can help make smart decisions about where to fly. We've also put a lot of effort and time and money into developing systems like our automatic return to home if your drone loses contact or is low on battery, like our remote ID system Aeroscope that helps airports identify drones that could cause problems, like even the intelligent batteries in DJI drones that can diagnose problems and know when they need to land. And we said, what else? We've done the obvious things. What else can we do to try to continue keeping drones safe? And we went looking through the data about FAA drone sighting data, which turns out to be pretty much worthless if you're trying to look for root causes and problems. We looked through European data, same problems. So much junk in there, so many garbage reports that were clearly either drones operating normally or not even drones at all. We went through media reports. They're purely sensational, so little to be benefited from there. We found 6 separate things that were reported as mid-air collisions with drones that were later proven not to be drones. They were birds or bats or something else. And we said, what is there out there that we can do? And finally, we realized that while there's never been a proven collision between a drone and an airplane anywhere in the world, there have been at least 2 confirmed collisions between drones and helicopters. We said, let's focus on what drones can do to be safe around helicopters. Helicopters, they fly at relatively low altitudes. They fly unpredictable flight paths. They're not simply taking off and landing from an airport, but they can be anywhere. What can we do? And we looked at a technology that we call AirSense, which is a version of an ADS-B signal receiver that we built into our most expensive and most rugged professional drones, the Mavic 2 Enterprise series and the M200 series. And so what if we could put a professional-grade aviation safety device like ADS-B into a small consumer drone? We said, you know what? That has the biggest chance we can think of helping prevent the next category of potential risk. That for all the times that a well-intentioned but perhaps not operating at their top capacity recreational drone pilot finds themselves near a helicopter, what would it do for safety if we could give that person an advance warning of a helicopter or a low-flying small plane that's approaching, perhaps even before they can hear it approaching, much less try to spot it on the horizon? And we talked about it, we thought about it, and we said, you know what? This is a commitment that we can make. It's going to cost us money. It's going to put a real wrench in our engineering plans for drones that are already in development and heading towards production. But once we've identified this as a problem and that we have a real solution, we can't not do it. And all that has led to us announcing today our commitment that starting next year, every new drone model that we introduce above 250 grams, which is sort of become the de facto cutoff for things that are too small to pose serious risks. Any new drone above 250 grams that's introduced after January 1st of 2020 is going to have an AirSense ADS-B receiver in there. So the pilot of that drone will be able to sense nearby aircraft, nearby helicopters, nearby airplanes, and will get that sense and that warning in enough time that they can descend and get out of that aircraft's path and hopefully eliminate any possibility of any kind of separation incident above them. It's an aggressive engineering challenge for us. And it's but the benefit is that we never disclose our sales figures, as you know, but it's safe to say that our first mainstream consumer drone that hits the market with an ADS-B receiver inside it will instantly become the largest deployment of ADS-B anti-collision warning technology in the world. And we hope it sets a standard for other manufacturers. It's certainly going to be the standard for our products. As we continue with the new product rollout cycle, this means you're going to have an incredibly beneficial level of early warning capacity in a growing part of the world's drone fleet. And we are really, really excited to announce this today.
And what is that warning going to look like for consumers, the ones who are doing the flying?
What it's going to be is when you're looking at your phone or your tablet while flying your drone, if a nearby, there's an algorithm that is looking at the ADS-B signals coming from airplanes and helicopters all around, and it compares that to where you are, your altitude, its direction, et cetera. And if it senses that there is a risk that you could have a loss of separation with your drone, it will flash a red warning on your screen. It'll indicate where that other aircraft is. It'll also have an audible alert tone, and you'll feel the controller vibrate in your hands.
So it'll be pretty tough to miss. It sounds
exactly.
Terrific. And this will be starting in 2020 and going forward.
Yeah.
That you're building this in. Are you disclosing how much this technology costs you?
No, we don't. Even I'm sure that there are plenty of people who are going to go online and look at the costs of various ADS-B systems on the market and start coming up with their own back of the envelope examples. That's fine. I think it's safe to say that the cost for an individual unit is not extraordinary, but the cost of developing it and figuring out how to install it in the number of drones that we sell on the first day that we announce one, it's a significant commitment for us.
That's pretty exciting. For more information on all this, where can people go?
So you should go to DJI.com/flysafe. There you can learn more about how the AirSense system works. You can see a video of it. And I'd also encourage your listeners at that site to click on the report that we put out today called Elevating Safety. It describes the research that we did. It has a long section about how we debunked a lot of these fraudulent reports of drones hitting aircraft or drone near misses that turned out to be birds. And if you are a responsible drone pilot, you will really be outraged at how the rest of the world seems to see drones and has pushed clearly bogus, clearly ludicrous scenarios as examples of the rising drone threat. Nobody's saying that drones don't need to be flown carefully in the airspace, but some of the crazy anecdotes out there that have been driving policy discussions are just outrageous. And one of the things we tried to point out is that when people see these stories, and not even drone pilots, when regular people see stories about the threat from drones, well, they complain to the media, and the media picks it up, and it gets seen by elected officials, and elected officials end up telling the regulators, hey, you have to deal with this growing problem. So when there's a focus on drone events that didn't happen, you end up making policies to deal with things that aren't the problem, instead of looking for real sources of data to help figure out what the problem is. In our case, we found out the problem is actually low-flying helicopters, even though I'm sure the next drone scare story that you see on TV is going to involve a jumbo jet that claims they saw a drone at 10,000 feet, which you and I know you can't spot a drone at 10,000 feet. It didn't happen. So, we do a lot of this debunking in this report, and then we put out 10 recommendations altogether for what DJI, for what our other drone companies, and for what government need to do to help ensure that drones remain a safe addition to the skies. So we call for, and some of the things might seem counterintuitive to drone pilots, at least to hear it coming from a drone company, but we say we need more enforcement against people who maliciously fly drones in improper ways, because when the good pilots see that there's no benefit that there's no harm in flying badly, it sends a horrible message to the people who try to do the right thing. We call for a mandatory knowledge quiz similar to the one that we've installed on our systems in some of our countries before people can take to the skies. That we think anyone who flies a drone ought to be able to demonstrate that they understand, have a basic understanding of airspace safety and how to fly safely. So things like that. There's 10 points in there. It's a very thoughtful, well-researched, well-documented paper, and I really think you and your readers would enjoy reading that.
Well, congratulations on what DJI is doing to make this technology safer. Adam Lisberg, thank you for taking the time with us.
Thank you. Always enjoy being with you.
Now this. Innovation. Hi, I'm Fred Fishkin, and I've been covering consumer technology for a long time, and it takes a lot to impress me. That's why I'm excited to tell you about the latest way to enjoy cooking in the great outdoors from my friend Patrick Sherwin and his great team at GoSun Stove. What if you could harness the sun to cook your meals anywhere you go, day or night? The GoSun Fusion arrives this summer using the company's tried and true reflectors and a solar vacuum tube to get you cooking without the mess of charcoal, heavy propane tanks, or smoke. And with an optional solar panel and battery storage, and the ability to plug in at home or on the road, you really can use the GoSun Fusion to cook anytime and anywhere. Want to learn more? Head to gosun.co and use the code TEXTINATION to save 10%. That's gosun.co.